It's December 6th, and that means there's 19 days till Christmas. First, let's have a word from our sponsor.
You died.
And now let's hear a holiday safety tip from Gandock.
Note to self, do not use family members as ladders.
You are probably thinking that I decided to jump on this vegan bandwagon because Zay Frank recently mentioned that he has been eating vegan for over a year. I must admit that my first thought on hearing Zay say that he was vegan was that if Zay could do it, then so can I, which led me and my daughter to sing a rounding and very bad rendition of anything Zay can do, I can do mediocre. I can do anything mediocre-er than Zay. But really, it's not about Zay. It's all about origami. I am notoriously fickle when it comes to hobbies, and one of the reasons I haven't ever really been successful at much of anything is that I have tried so many different things. There was a period in my life, and mind you, I'm speaking of my adult life, of about a year when I desperately wanted to give my life to origami. I love all things about origami, but like a lot of things I love, I'm really terrible at it. I have been thinking about veganism, veganosity, veganity, being a vegan for a very long time. In fact, since that period in my life when I was desperately in love with origami, that is when I got this book. While Zay might have pushed my fangirl self over the edge, Jeremy Schaefer has had me thinking about being vegan for almost a decade. Strange that it took me so long to even try this out, but you know, being vegan is weird. This book, Origami to Astonish and Amuse, is awesome. I once successfully both folded the manswatter and the nail clippers. I have no idea where those models ended up, but I count them as the most wonderful things I accomplished in my short-lived origami career. The author wrote an introduction that has deeply affected me, and in it he justifies his commitment to origami purity, that is, obsessively following some seemingly arbitrary rules, by comparing it to eating vegan. Sometimes, when you follow some kinds of rules voluntarily, the results of your effort are more wonderful than if you tried to do things without rules. For instance, let's talk a minute about poetry. I write poetry sometimes. Don't worry, I won't subject you to it. One of the things that people who write poems do is read a lot of other people's poems. Sometimes other people who also write very bad poetry. There's a difference between freestyle poetry and writing poetry in formal forms, and I will tell you from experience that if I were asked to read a poem by an inexperienced and untalented poet, I would a million times rather read a villanelle they wrote than any kind of free verse. Rules give us form, and form can lend beauty to our effort by organizing it. We have so much freedom these days. We can do almost anything we want with our lives. Nobody is telling us how to live them. We are practically a world filled with free verse, and sometimes that turns out really well. Some happy accidents happen that wouldn't otherwise, and geniuses spring up out of nowhere with new ways to live that we never even thought of. But sometimes, some rules that we adopt and follow of our own volition actually make life better and more beautiful. Talk with you tomorrow. Bye-bye.